episode 1015, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, artist, producer, and mogul, Derek Miner.
What's happening?
And from Austin, Texas, author, speaker, podcaster, Jamie Ivey.
Hey, guys.
Why did you do that, Derek? That was very disturbing.
What's happening? I have to switch the tone, man. I don't like the same thing.
We're coming out of Halloween season, to be
that's
fair.
what it is.
So yeah, that's true. Well, it was a week ago, Jesse. You last week's podcast. You had a conundrum about family costumes. What ended up happening?
I was extremely stressed about this, guys. First off, I think we've established, am I the only one who dresses up for Halloween every year?
Yes.
We established that, yes.
I was watching a Magic game that night, handing out candy to the kids, but I'm not going to dress up.
As celebrities, your celebrities dress up every year for Halloween, but...
Did you see? Okay, hold on. Did you see? I know listeners of Halloween is long ago now in your brains, and you're thinking about the next holidays. But did y'all see Kim Kardashian dressed up as Mystique? Right? You saw that? She's all blue. Blah blah blah. Did you see why she dressed up? She was going to a celebrity birthday party, one of her friends that night, Saturday night of Halloween weekend. She dresses up because every party on Halloween weekend is a costume party. She gets there. It's a formal birthday party. It was not a costume party. And she was the only one in costume.
Yes.
She posted on her IG like, oops, like show up to a party.
That is hilarious.
I think about this every day. It is the funniest thing to me. Oh my God.
But here's the thing about some of those celebrity costumes too. It's like, I don't know how they're getting in and out of these things. Like, you know what I mean?
The Heidi Klum worm one?
Yeah,
Did you
exactly.
see that?
And
that was a win. That was a win. By the way, that won Halloween, by the way.
But I had so many questions about that costume, and like I said, it's one thing if like an average Joe wears a costume to like a party, like if you're the Joker, right? I saw a lot of Jokers this year. I saw a disproportionate amount of Jokers just walking around.
Diddy kind of nailed it though. Diddy
nailed it. And almost got into a fight.
Yeah,
he was a character a little too much.
But what I'm saying is, if you go to the costume, if you go to a party in the Joker costume and you realize you're the only one in costume there, you go wash your face. You're just a guy in a green suit. Okay. No sweat. Right. Like I'm not having to like call a team of people if I need to use the restroom if I'm just saying the celebrities do it for themselves. I have zero empathy for that situation.
The fact that Kim is so image conscious and she is like this blue character at a formal party the entire evening just cracks me up so much. How uncomfortable she had to have been. But also,
she can just like own it. Like she's Kim Kardashian. Like, okay, so I can come to a costume party if I want to come to a costume party. I'll make it my own.
I feel like on The Office when they went to the Diwali party and Michael told his girlfriend it was a costume party and she showed up as a cheerleader to the Diwali party. Or Pam when she was up in the New York office dressed up for Halloween. Nobody else up there dressed up for Halloween. Anyway, that kind of thing. Or
on Legally Blonde when Elle Woods showed up to the party.
And she owned it. She owned it. Yeah,
but I was stressed this year because I didn't have any ideas.
Where did we land?
I was going to go as Nathan. I was going to get this was up until the last minute. I was like, all right, I got to construct this thing, before I leave the house. I rushed home and this was my intention. I was going to get a gray sweater, like, tight black pants, a pair of like New Balances and strap a laptop around my, put a little baby powder, some little gray in my hair. And then strap a laptop to my chest. And I was going to be Nathan Fielder from the rehearsal. But I think it was too deep of a cut. I don't think that show outside of some circles. I don't think walking around the neighborhood trick-or-treating, I'm going to get a lot of love out of that.
Right.
It just looks like a random guy with a laptop on his chest.
Okay.
Cameron, I busted out the blue spacesuit that we got at Space Camp. The flight suit.
Okay.
Yeah. Started texting some neighbors. Cowboy hat. Jeff Bezos. Boom.
Space Cowboy.
I like it.
Timely. It was timely.
Yeah.
I got a lot of comments out there. People, and at one point I grabbed like a little Amazon package. It was.
Oh yeah, great.
And then it was like, hey, next year I can just get a bunch of people. We can be billionaires. Like we can just have thematic billionaire costumes. It was a stroke of last minute inspiration.
That's awesome.
Desperation sometimes sparks inspiration. And that's what happened this year.
My kid who just turned 13, he's really funny. I don't know if y'all know many Gen Zers, but this generation is hilarious. I mean, they will roast you. They are funny. Anyway, he had a inflatable dinosaur outfit. He thought that was going to be funny, right? The engine broke or the motor broke on it. So last minute, he decided to go as the cop from Reno 911 with the little like tan cop outfit with the short shorts and rollerblades. And he just rollerbladed around as the Reno 911 cop with the mustache and everything. I'm like, what 13-year-olds know Reno 911, first of all, but I was proud of him. That's a good pivot, you know.
It really is. That's the thing. Sometimes when you're backed into a corner, that's when your best ideas strike. How many times, Cameron, were like, you know, something happened with a publicist and we're like, we don't have a cover story here. You know what? You get on the blower, you start making some calls, and that's when the best things always came together. When you're in a corner and you have a sweet Jeff Bezos costume that the whole block party likes.
Hey man, that's why I'm an optimist. There's no matter what bad news you can get, no matter what terrible thing, what lien just got put on your, whatever, like no matter what lawsuit just happened, there's always a way out. There's always tomorrow. There's always a way. And it's the same thing.
There's always a flight suit and a cowboy hat stuffed in the back of the closet that you forgot was even there.
Done. There you go. Well, we have a great show in store for you. Coming up later, we talk to Lysa TerKeurst. She has a new book out. She joins us later. You don't want to miss that. We also have your feedback at the end of the show. But stay tuned. Right now, Emily joins us for Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Phoenix. The song is After Midnight. Well, today's show is brought to you by He Gets Us, a national campaign sharing a fresh perspective on the story of Jesus. Why? Because the story of Jesus has been obscured. His name has been used to both harm and to heal, to unite and to divide. But how Jesus actually lived is not at all convoluted. He loved radically. He suffered deeply. He always put others first. And He Gets Us is telling that story to anyone who will listen. As Christians, you know that story and you know how powerful it is. You also know how it can be hard to tell in a way that gets people's attention. Well, this campaign has developed a platform to do just that, to share the story of Jesus on national television and on individual phone screens, and it's working. It has over 350 million views on YouTube alone, and that is an old number. We need to update that. Not to mention all the views on Facebook, Instagram, and all the broadcast networks. If you watch college football, pro football, Saturday Night Live, you have seen He Gets Us spots. It's pretty awesome. It's just the start. Visit HeGetsUsPartners.com to learn more and check out the resources they've developed and learn more about the campaign. Well, if you haven't seen it for yourself, check out HeGetsUs.com. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Please welcome to the show our very own downtown Emily Brown to tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week. Hey, Emily.
Hey, y'all.
Is this your last week in Texas? You're moving to Nashville next week soon, right?
Working on it. Had a little bit of an apartment hiccup, but we're working it out. And by we, I mean me. I don't know why I say we.
Well,
I'm working it out.
You can tell them what you found out. This beautiful apartment looked incredible on the website. Then after she locked it down, she read some reviews of people who recently moved out and said, stay away. There's a lot of cockroaches. So she was like,
oh, okay.
I was hoping this was going to go ghost, but
that would have been really good.
I wouldn't have backed out if it was a ghost. Just kidding. I would have run for the hills if it was a ghost.
Yeah, I did the cockroach apartment thing in college. You don't want to do the cockroach apartment thing.
I thought about it for 5 minutes. I was like, because I'm like, well, I'm not too bougie. I can live anywhere. But I was like, I'm bougie enough that I don't want cockroaches.
You don't want to be putting on your shoes in the morning and like, what's that crunchy thing moving around by my toes?
I got to be honest. It's not a deal breaker for me. Not a deal breaker. You know,
and that makes sense for you, Jesse. But
you just invested some Tupperware and just wing it. Dude, they crawl in your ears at night while you're sleeping.
I know, that's what I heard. When people are sleeping and they get in
there. They plant like eggs and stuff in your ears.
A lot of people don't know this, but the average human eats 9 cockroaches every night. People just aren't even aware of that stat. It's shocking when you find out, but that's why I'm just not worried about it. You know,
so instead of 9, you want like 30.
I've watched Fear Factor. I understand they're harmless. You know, they're just getting along just like us. You know, they're gonna live somewhere. They're gonna live in some apartment. You know, why not mine?
But would you pay to be on Fear Factor? That's what, because it's like if I
You
move
get
in, I'm
You're
paid.
paying
Yeah,
to get the
you get paid.
cockroaches.
Yeah.
Do you get paid to be on Fear Factor? What is the prize for Fear Factor?
Is Fear Factor still a thing?
I don't think so.
It's the same.
Oh,
But like,
no,
did you win money? You had to.
sure.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
win money? Yeah.
I'm sure
Okay.
there was
At the
some
end.
Nobody's gonna subject himself to that
Yeah.
level of torture for free.
I don't know.
Right.
Some people do some crazy things for fame. So
You know what?
I didn't
This
know if
is
it was
true.
just
This is true.
bragging rights or if
No.
you got-
I'm sure they were compensated handsomely
Yeah.
for the torture.
Maybe not handsomely.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not handsomely.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a couple evenings with Joe Rogan and a few $100 prize. I think is
So not handsomely at all.
I'm thinking 10 grand. I'm thinking 10 grand. I'm thinking 10 grand.
You can take dinner with Joe Rogan or 10 grand. I will take the 10. All right.
Every time.
All right. What do you have, Emily?
Well, I want to start off talking about some social media news. So Elon Musk has taken over Twitter, if you weren't aware, which I got to give kudos to him.
What?
Because Twitter was already a really crazy place and he has made it somehow more chaotic. And, you just got to give him respect for that. I didn't think he could do it, but he did it. We're recording this Wednesday. He took over Thursday. So it hasn't even been a full week yet, but he has already fired, I think, 9 top executive board members and made himself the sole, what is the term? Chief is what he's calling himself.
Yeah. Chief Twit.
Chief Twit, yes, is what he's calling himself.
Wow.
He has also allegedly threatened about 75% of employees that he would fire them. He said that that's not true, but employees have told some other sources that they're definitely feeling the pressure of if they don't make all these changes, they're going to lose their job. And then also in the meantime, he's still tweeting every thought he's ever had. So, respect for his priorities.
Every day something comes out. Did you see that the staff, the CCO had a Twitter thread about getting canned. And she, in her thing, talked about the changes that were happening that she was fighting against. And she said one of the things was their group of humans that did the moderation and would take down, horrible posts and stuff. He cut from hundreds of people to 15 people. So insane. That was okay, we're not going the same direction anymore.
So the content is going to be garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know about the $8 a month to get the check mark thing.
Yeah.
But did you see the most recent one that he's now announced a video subscription service? Basically, he's trying to launch an OnlyFans inside of Twitter where people can post videos for free, but you pay to subscribe to the videos, which is OnlyFans. So he's trying to lean into the porn thing because he can monetize it.
So I am, when it comes to the ethics and the problematic nature of a lot of, I don't want to see people lose their jobs. I don't want to, but beyond even just the tech prognostication, right? Like about tech industry trends, I'm more interested in this story because I want to see how far someone can go absolutely winging it. Just like Michael Scott on stage at that convention where he just grabs the mic and he tells the shareholders a plan off the top of his head. Or then he's like, and we're going carbon neutral. You know what I mean? Just
that one. Yeah.
Like everyone's been in that place where they have like a presentation, like a meeting, like you're like in a wedding party and you're like, you've had months to prepare the toast. And you're like, I'll do it the day of. Don't worry. I'll write something up. When I'm on the airplane to the wedding, I'll write the toast. You don't prepare. It's your turn. You just get up there and wing it. That's what he's doing with $44 billion stakes. And I love it. I just want to see it's totally evident that he is absolutely winging it. And I just want to see what is that's
why you got to give him respect.
What could go wrong? I want to see what humanity is capable of when absolutely totally winging this whole thing.
I do think it's interesting. Everybody, those first 3, 4, 5 days after he took over, a lot of prominent accounts reported losing thousands of followers. And I wonder, is that an algorithm shift? Is that scrubbing, bots, or is that thousands of followers leaving Twitter? That's interesting to me to watch what happens.
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think there is some clearing out of bots and fake accounts and stuff. But I've seen a few people that I'd followed that were kind of like, all right, this is my last tweet. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just leaving. And I don't know exactly. I don't think we have the stats quite yet. I don't know. That's the thing. There's other options. I think maybe 10 years ago they would come back, but now it's you can go to TikTok, you can go to Instagram. Like,
Right.
you be real if that's all you know. Like,
but Twitter is the last of the. It's not video based. It's mostly text
but I mean,
based.
if Elon's making it that, like, if that's the direction he's taking it, I'm not going to want to be on a place where I have to work through OnlyFans accounts. I don't want to see that.
Well, so this is what I think. I think that a lot of this is an overreaction because when you look at a lot of the stuff, like if we really look at Twitter and say what has actually changed besides the rumors we know that first off, when anybody goes into a company now, the level of like people he fired might be just insane. But most people, when they go to something different, they want to bring their people along.
Sure.
Right. So
sure.
I don't think that's bad that he's like,
For sure.
he didn't even like Twitter in the first place. That's why he bought it. He said this is ran bad. So we already knew those people weren't going to keep their job. Like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't like them from the first place. So
Did you see?
to me, I'm like,
did you see? He walked in day one, fired the CEO and COO. Right, those two people had $120 million severance attached to their termination.
Wow.
But here's the issue though. He fired them for a cause. So that means they get nothing. And that's why they're suing him.
Yeah.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They're going to sue him because he fired them for, if he'd have just cut them or laid them off, they'd have got that. But he said for a cause. So now they're not getting anything. Right. But when you look at it, I think I think people are just kind of like frustrated that he has it and they're just throwing tantrums left and right. Like for me, I'm just like, let's just wait and see what's going to happen. Because in my mind, if I'm a business owner, I want to monetize the culture and change it, but I don't want to make it so drastically different that I mean, honestly, that's what Instagram has done. Instagram has literally turned their platform into TikTok, and people are just like, we'll just go to TikTok. We like TikTok better. And I think if he's smart, which he seems to be pretty smart, hopefully he won't do that to Twitter, because I think the thing that makes Twitter sets it apart is it's mostly text-based. It's very limited in what you can say. You know what I'm saying? It's more that. So hopefully he keeps that. I think, and in a sense, if we're talking about even the video subscription thing, all that the porn people are doing is just redirecting people from Twitter to OnlyFans. So I guess he's like, well, if I make it pay for a subscription thing, then now, even though there's porn on here, it's behind a paywall, and the only people that get to see it are the people that want to see that. So I don't know. Like for me, I'm looking back like, we'll see what happens. It may not be as bad as we think, as some people think.
I'm curious to see if he does kind of like what the streaming apps do, where it's like, oh, do you want a G profile? Do you want a PG-13 profile, a MA profile? You know, and like you could have like, there's different types of Twitter experiences based on the type of content you want to see. Because right now there's no separation between bad and good Twitter, right? I mean,
but wasn't there a separation before? Am I tripping, Cameron? But
I don't know. I didn't even know there was that stuff on Twitter until last week when it was being reported. So I don't know.
Yeah, wasn't there like posts would be like, this is explicit posts? Like, because I know like I thought like rappers and things like that would have like guns and things in their videos, and it'd be like the post would be labeled explicit, and you'd have to like click on it. That's what I thought that we're supposed to be doing.
There is something, but from my understanding, it's someone else kind of has to report it as explicit content, and then it's added.
By those hundreds of people who got canned. So, you know, now there's nobody to flip the switch on.
Someone had to like add that filter on.
Like I said, there's so many elements to this, like the difference. Like, I mean, Twitter and like a lot of tech companies that have gone through an IPO operate in the red, not the black, because they're, you know, their money comes, you know, somewhat artificially inflated, right? Like people are investing in their stock and they're just burning through that cash, right? Where now that he owns it, it's like, if it doesn't make money, there is no money. And so like, I understand like all the wrinkles of it. Like I said, more to me is what is the highest stakes winging it of all time? Yeah. He's got $44 billion with no plan, and he seems to just be making it up as he goes along. That element is far more interesting to me.
Did you see also like the banks that help fund his cash acquisition? So he has $1 billion debt payment every month based on just the loans he took out to buy Twitter. So he got like 23 billion or something like that from Citibank, Morgan Stanley. There's this consortium of investment banks that funded it. They put in their third quarter earnings report literally yesterday, hidden down in it, they think it'll be a very long road before they start to see their capital coming back, and they are preparing already to take multi-billion-dollar haircuts or losses based on him. Basically, they're expecting him to default on the loan, like, because Twitter's not going to make the money that the price tag would have warranted. So that's when it starts to crumble.
Even though on paper he's the world's wealthiest person, most of that wealth is not cash. It's tied up in SpaceX or Tesla stock.
And Tesla stocks are down, and Twitter stocks are down, which brings Tesla stocks down. Yeah.
But even then, if he were to liquidate that and turn it into cash, which would be used to make a payment, he risk, if he has under 49% of the shares, he can no longer the controlling shareholder of his other two companies. So it is high stakes. And that's why I want to see. It's like someone going up in school, and like let's say you're in a group project and they put together a really great PowerPoint presentation, and you did nothing to help all presentation long, and the whole group got sick, and you haven't even opened the presentation once, and it's like, go present to the class. It is a tightrope walk, and I'm here for it. It is. It's going to either end awkwardly and hilariously disastrous, or we're just going to be mind blown about how he pulled this thing off. And that's more the entertainment factor for me. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question about that in a second. But speaking of billionaires losing their paper money, did you see that last Thursday, Mark Zuckerberg lost $11 billion in one day? This year, his fortune started the year at $136 billion, and he's lost over $100 billion of it so far this year because Facebook... Nobody wants this virtual reality stuff that he's banking on. Their ad revenue is drying up, and their stock has dropped 74% this year, which is insane to me.
Good. He doesn't need 136 billion.
And do you want to know the solution to the problem? The solution to the problem. This would have been the easiest thing, Mr. Zuckerberg. Sometimes you just need a normal person in the board meeting.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you just need not a person that's like a tech guy. You just need like, hey, Derek, Cameron, Jesse, Jamie, and Emily, what y'all think? Hey, TikTok is killing y'all because when they actually post on there, people actually see their stuff. So, hey, can you like make the algorithm where like when I post, more than 3 people can see it? And I think people will want to stay on Instagram rather than go build a whole new platform.
And 2, don't come to us like, don't worry. I know no one's stoked about these ideas, but these tiny cartoon avatars that are poorly animated. They now have legs. They have they can walk animatedly.
You can sword fight with them. Who cares?
Like, dog. Nobody want these cartoon characters, bro. I just want people to see my post.
It wasn't that long ago. I was like, wait, the metaverse launched? I thought we were all like building up to this thing. How do I access it? Where is it? Like, you're telling me this is out there? Like, people are using it?
Same.
Hey, he rolled the metaverse out like a Kanye project. That mug just like, it just come out. He adding songs, adding feet later and adding.
That's true. Did you see too, after Elon took over Twitter, that means everybody who had Twitter, shares got paid, right? So now its founder, Jack Dorsey, he had a sliver of ownership still. Now he's made billions. Now, what's he doing? He's out there. He announced he's launching a new social media platform. To your point, Derek, it's a totally different technology where it's a decentralized something with the back end where it's not one site, it's multiple, blah, blah, where users, the overarching point will be users can construct their algorithm in the way they want. So instead of Instagram giving you their algorithm, you can say, I want like this, this, and this, and you have way more control over your social media experience. So if Elon fuddles around too much with this and, now if nobody's on Facebook and Instagram doesn't get their act together, Jack Dorsey, who started Twitter, he's got something that he's working on. It's going to launch pretty soon.
Yeah.
Oh, I've already signed up for the beta for, it's called Blue Sky
he's talking
or something
about?
like that. I've already signed up.
I was going to sign up for the beta for the metaverse. I don't even know where. Do I go to metaverse.com? Where is it? It's like the new Avatar. It's like they were working on this thing for a while. Like, I've been hearing about the new Avatar movie for like 10 years. Like, is this thing ever happening?
Okay, I have a question to ask, pivoting. Obviously, we've been covering this on the site. Faith, life, and culture, tech. We're an online generation. This is a big part of what we cover. We're covering the ethics of it. You can check it out at the site. Okay, I have a question, something you said, Jesse, about
Elon just winging it. He's walking in the boardroom, just and he's ad-libbing.
$20, $8? What are we doing here?
Have y'all had a moment where you've had that situation where you had a speaking gig or you had to give a presentation or something and you were not ready for it and you faked it?
Can I be honest? Every Wednesday at noon.
20 minutes ago when I popped on this podcast.
Right. Facts.
No, I'm trying to think.
That's a fact too.
I had one, dude. When you were talking about that, it came to mind. Back in 2008, when Obama was running, I was a pro-life Republican, and they invited me to the Democratic National Convention to give the benediction when Obama was speaking. I ended up not doing that. I thought it was too partisan, but whatever. They invited me to come, and they invited me to just attend some different workshops about the next generation of evangelicals and kind of their political views and things like that. I thought I was a guest. I literally get taken to the DNC and get walked into a session where I am a speaker and I have to give a 20-minute talk on politics and faith in the next generation. Had no clue that was expected of me and did not prepare one word of it.
How'd it go?
Well, 14 years later, I still remember how panicked I was, but I don't know what happened. I blacked out. I don't know. People told me it was okay afterwards.
I'm going to break the ice with how long do I have? 20 minutes? Okay, we're gonna go around the room real quick.
Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
I always think about that. Turn it into a Q&A. Q&A, guys. Q&A.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought it was. I knew there was a panel, and I was on a panel, but I thought it was just a 10-person panel discussion. I could just kind of hide, pick my spots. Nope. It was 10 people giving presentations. So anyway.
I feel like I knew someone who was like a youth pastor one time, and the head pastor got violently ill like that morning, like it was a food poisoning at breakfast situation, and there was no backup for the sermon. And I did have a buddy who just had to take the stage. No notes, nothing prepared, and he's up on, it's showtime right now. He's going from the little stage to the big one, and it was terrible. It was awful. Last chance. I think he's in a different profession now. Did not do well.
All right. Go ahead, Emily.
Dang.
Well, I was going to talk about Blue Sky because I wanted to say, if Elon tanks Twitter, we have maybe a potential escape. So I'm glad we talked about that. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is a new Hulu documentary that we definitely think everyone should be watching.
If you're going to say what I think you're going to say.
Of course.
I'm so excited to watch it.
Yeah. It's called God Forbid. It is about, it's produced by Adam McKay, who did Don't Look Up.
Big Short.
Moneyball. He produced a documentary, and it is about essentially the downfall of Jerry Falwell Jr. and the scandal that when was that 2019?
20.
I think it was 2020. I feel like it was
2020
during COVID. I feel like when we talked about it.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much the entirety of his Liberty presidency.
That's true. I mean, it went on a long time.
When we found out or when everyone knew that the guy was a weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah. The subject of the documentary is actually the pool boy, who is sort of at the center of the scandal. He shares his story, his side of the story, and just kind of puts his thoughts and his side out there. It is... I can't describe it. Just watch it. Here's a clip of the trailer just for you to get a glimpse of what you're going to get into.
As a pool attendant, I would get hit on. But if I would have known that accepting this woman's invitation to go back to her hotel room would have led to a scandal involving the president of the largest Christian university in the world and the president of the United States, I would have walked away and just enjoyed my private life.
The Falwells are the Southern Gatsbys. They're wealthy, powerful,
with a Christian's communications empire.
And they're sloppy.
They have a public image, but behind the scenes, they're freaks. At the time, I didn't really know who they were.
My brother was at the age of one of their sons.
It was an atomic scandal. Jerry Falwell writes, I was not involved.
I know the truth about them. And the whole world is going to find out.
Pool boy. Yeah, pool boy.
Yeah, I mean, those two words, if that doesn't entice you, I don't know what
will. We had a small part in the beginning of that downfall. Again, to Jesse's point, he made his own bed for decades.
It's a slow burn. Yeah.
But the yacht pick
We grabbed it.
Mm-hmm.
We were one.
Remember, it was at the one that wasn't the Halloween party. We had his pants undone, drinking the black water.
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Oh, it even wasn't even a Halloween party, like a dress up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so he said it was a costume party, and he was doing. Yeah,
it was just another night. Yeah. That was just Tuesday night. Yeah.
we posted that, and it went viral, and then other news outlets picked it up, and blah blah blah, and then Pool Boy comes out, and I mean, it's just like the snowball happened swiftly, and it all started because that picture.
So how did that picture get out?
Yeah, so he posted it late night one night, and it was down by the morning, but somebody screenshotted it the hour and a half that it was up, and we grabbed that screenshot and posted it the next morning, even though he was trying to sweep it under the rug, or maybe he drunk posted it and then like had clearer thoughts.
Of course he did.
See, that's the thing. Even with somebody else who posted a picture and then took it down, I wonder if it's like self-sabotage. Like people do this,
they want out,
and they're like self-sabotaging themselves. They want out. Like it has to be, because you have to know, as the president of the largest Christian college that doesn't allow drinking, doesn't allow sex on campus or whatever, that if you post a picture in your drawers with some...
I actually disagree with you, Derek. I think that these people think they're untouchable, and they are like, okay, these are the rules, but we're untouchable. And I think the same thing about how President Trump really kind of leaned in and tried to get all the white evangelical votes and tried to act like he was some like good Christian guy, when we've seen footage of him saying things that are intolerable for people to say. And so they think they're untouchable. They think they can it's Pharisee. It's Pharisee talk. It's legalism. It's terrible. And I was going to say I like to see them fall, but I don't want to say that because that's not right. But it's hard. I think they think they're untouchable.
So you think it's just a result of immense arrogance and power that is just like, you know what, I can do whatever I want to do.
He's surrounded by yes men. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no accountability.
That's crazy.
Money and power.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not, hey,
That's
Derek,
crazy.
we're not going there, but I'm saying this is one of the threads of conversation that Derek and Prop and I have had about Kanye, that like he felt he was untouchable and he flew maybe a little too close to the sun and learned you're not untouchable. Money doesn't...
Listen, I have no doubt that he didn't feel he was untouchable. That's not even my conversation. Yeah. But yeah, I can see that. I just think, like, when I think about entertainers, I think I kind of hold entertainers and like public figures in a different way. But I guess it makes sense. It's just arrogance is arrogance. Like in my mind, Kanye, he's been cocky. Like he's been a narcissist. At least it would seem. I don't know the guy, but it seems like he's been like, that's kind of been his thing. So Kanye, believable. It's like, man, he's on a power trip. That's what's got him where he's at. But when I think about a guy like Jerry Falwell, who's like the president of a university, it's not even trying to say cry for help. It's just, I forget that guys like that have power and narcissism in that way as well, because they hide it really, really well. Like Kanye actually used it to grow his brand. But a lot of these guys, and I know this because I've been around a lot of guys in that level, that it's like they hide it. You see it, but they don't really. But so that's why the idea of him posting that picture is like, you kind of played yourself, because that's not even your brand. Kanye on brand, Jerry Falwell Jr. not on brand at all. So that's why it's like when they break character, that it shocks me, because I'm like, dang. But it makes sense if you're like, yo, you've been hiding this thing for so long, and you've been operating with these Kanye type ego that eventually is going to show its ugly head. In the public,
that's something he talked about. If you don't want the Pool Boy perspective and you want the Falwell perspective, there was a Vanity Fair piece that came out in late 2020 where he sat down with them and he talked about the fact that, like, listen, I'm not really a Christian. Like, the ministry thing is my dad's thing. I'm a businessman, and y'all keep trying to force me to be this evangelical leader. I'm just somebody who took this university from broke to $1 billion of
which he did,
revenue coming in, literally. And it's like, I'm a brilliant businessman, and I want my due as a brilliant businessman and real estate and all these other things. Quit trying to put this other label on me. And so I think, to your right, he had this identity crisis where his real life was authentically living one way, and then he had to play this role on stage, and he was just over that. I think that he self-sabotaged. I do too. I'm kind of with you, Derek, where I think it's just like he wanted out. He just wants to be a respected businessman. He don't want the trappings of his dad's ministry.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's made so much money that it's like, you know what? It's time. You know what I'm saying? This will, like, whatever. Here, watch this. Boom. Like, I don't know, but that it's such an odd thing. And I think, yeah, that's such an odd thing.
But he's got, really close ties to President Trump. He's been through the university, all the things that they've always had really close ties with. And I think you look at President Trump and he probably thinks Trump has a foot in both worlds. I mean, like he appeals real highly to evangelicals and he's also a really great businessman and people still love him. So it would make sense that Falwell would be like, hey, I'm a businessman. So still it is what it is.
Does the documentary cover where is he at now? Because I haven't heard his name pop up in a long time.
Yeah, I think he's out of the public spotlight at this point.
Ever since the scandal, he's been pretty hidden.
He got a multi-million-dollar golden parachute from the university, and they have a big farm in Virginia, and I think he's just sitting back collecting checks.
Hanging at the pool.
Yeah.
Dang.
No.
Savage.
There we go.
All right. There's a lot more that came from, and it's not all salacious. We got faith, life, culture, justice. There's good stuff, funny stuff. Check out relevantmagazine.com every day. It's part of your web browsing. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Stay tuned. Up next, Lysa TerKeurst joins us. Wonder what she thinks about Jerry Falwell.
America. Beautiful, elegant, simple, and arrogant. It's plenty hysteria after they shot at them schools in that new cafeteria. Don't sneak in our area, cause if you ain't patriotic, you might be a terrorist. I know it's embarrassing. We say united, we stand, but divisions out there. No GED, no EBT, just BBL. That CDC said quarantine, my PPP said. I need my check. Look at your race, what they gonna say? Stay in your place. Made a mistake, open the case, open the gates. Yeah, go ahead and pray for that visa. See how America.
You're listening to Lecrae, his new album. The song is Still in America. Well, our guest today is Lysa TerKeurst. She's a speaker and author whose new book, Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, is out today. She sat down with our very own downtown Emily Brown to discuss why boundaries are good for you, how they can actually strengthen your relationship with others, and how you know when it's time to say goodbye. Here's our conversation with Lysa TerKeurst.
Why did you decide to write this book about boundaries now?
Well, I think because I needed to have better boundaries in my life. I'm coming off of, the ending of what I considered for 30 years my most significant human relationship. And when I experienced the death of my marriage, I was no longer working on the marriage. So then I needed to work on myself. And as I started working on myself, I discovered that I have not been great at understanding boundaries, at applying boundaries, at being consistent with healthy boundaries. And I really do believe better boundaries lead to better relationships, because boundaries aren't meant to shove another person away. Boundaries are meant to hold me together and keep the best of who I am front and center. And I think as I've seen in the past, certain important relationships in my life either disintegrate or develop some dysfunctional patterns, I didn't understand the value of boundaries, but mostly I didn't have the biblical confidence that it was okay as a Christian woman to have healthy boundaries. And I knew if I had struggled this much with it, there were probably other people who did as well.
I love the way that you describe boundaries as well, because I feel like for so long, there was sort of this negative connotation with boundaries, that they were, it was the way it was framed was like you're putting up a wall, which is a bad thing. So how can we reshape that and reframe that to something that is actually positive?
Well, I think we need to think of boundaries in terms of three crucial words. One is access, two is responsibility, and three is consequence. So, and I get this straight from the Bible. I started studying boundaries starting in Genesis. And by the time I got to God's instructions on establishing the temple, I started to realize that God gave certain access to different groups of people and required increased levels of responsibility with the increased access they got. Now, this did not mean that one group of people was more valuable than the other. It's just they were required to bring a different kind of responsibility. And the more access God granted, the more responsibility was required. And the more severe the consequence was for not being responsible with that access. And so as I took that biblical wisdom and insight of the fact that God seems to not only be okay with boundaries, God really establishes the necessity of boundaries. And so I remember writing in my journal, boundaries are not just a good idea, they're God's idea. And when I took those three words, it started to make sense to me why I was struggling. Because if we give level 10 access to someone, but they are only capable or willing of bringing level 3 responsibility, the discrepancy there is going to be dysfunction. And so I started to realize that I was giving way too much access to certain people who were bringing not enough responsibility for that kind of access. And that can be financial, that can be relational, it can be intellectual, spiritual, it can be in any area of capacity in your life, your time, your emotion, all of that. And so here's the mistake I made. I was giving level 10 access. They were only willing or capable of level 3 responsibility. Now, I can have a conversation and inform them that they need to bring more responsibility to continue to have the access they have. But again, if they're unwilling or incapable, the mistake I made was trying to put a boundary on them to force them to be more responsible with the access I granted them. But we all know that external pressure on someone can only create temporary modification in their behavior. They've got to want that change and be capable of that change. So if they are unwilling or incapable of anything above a level 3 responsibility, I'm not going to be able to change them by trying to put a boundary on them to force them to change. What I can do is I can put a boundary around myself in that relationship, and I can reduce the access down to level 3, which is their demonstrated level of responsibility.
You bring up a question I wanted to talk about. You know, your book talks about goodbyes as well. So, you know, when someone doesn't respect our boundaries, how do we know when it's time to say goodbye?
Well, we need to look for not a mistake that someone made. You know, we need to look for, is this a pattern of behavior? Because look, we're all going to make mistakes. And just because we make a mistake doesn't necessarily mean there needs to be a goodbye, depending on the severity of the mistake, obviously. But when this becomes a repeated pattern of behavior where the other person really is unwilling or maybe incapable of bringing responsibility to properly handle what they need to be responsible for within the dynamics of their part of this relationship. If they bring zero responsibility, then we need to consider zero access. And we need to take steps, not leaps. And we need to recognize that some goodbyes are just for a season, a temporary separation, and other goodbyes maybe for much longer. But as we consider this, there's two things that I would highly recommend before saying goodbye. Number one is ask yourself, is this a repeated pattern where I am unsafe, unstable, or I feel like I'm losing my sanity? I keep saying to myself, this is making me crazy, or am I crazy? You know? So ask yourself some really wise questions. And secondly, don't go at it alone. Get other wise people to help you, and don't hide information from them. Don't soften what is the reality of the situation, so that the wise counsel you have can really help you assess how unstable is this? How unsafe is this? How much is this affecting your sanity? And of course, I think it's wise to always get some good counseling as well. You know, I have an amazing Christian counselor, and he was one of my trusted advisors and confidants in me being able to process when enough was enough.
That was Lysa TerKeurst. Make sure to check out her new book, Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. It's out today. And stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You're listening to More and More. The song is Here It Goes Again. Okay, it's time for your feedback. All right, last week, Jesse took a lot of the show to tell you about the fact that he gets mercilessly mocked by children when he's trying to coach baseball games.
Bullied, Cameron.
And so he was asking, what's the correct response for an adult when a 9-year-old is roasting you? And Derek and I had some opinions, but we asked you, what do you think Jesse should do when the kids mock him on the baseball field? Preferably none that'll get him in trouble with parents or authorities. So you hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, and here's some of our favorite replies.
Hey, I like, this is Amy. I know you are, but what am I?
Phil Pee Wee Herman.
I'm not going to lie, listeners. I do not love a lot of these responses. The only one I liked.
Because they told you that you need to not get so worked up about the kids.
Yes. Which, if you weren't there, you didn't experience it. This is bullying. And they gave me the biblical precedence for dealing with this, which is Elijah calling bears out of the forest to maul children who mocked his baldness. This is a serious issue, according to scripture. That's all I'm saying.
According to Jeremy.
Well, listen, Daniel has one that it definitely will blow up in your face if you said this one. The jerk store called and they're running out of you. That is going to get you cooked. Like,
that's a Seinfeld reference.
Yeah,
he's making a.
But you're going to get flambéed. Like, that's going to get you flambéed. Because I didn't know that was a Seinfeld reference, and a 13 or 14-year-old doesn't know that either. So.
That is true.
Yeah, even much less the 8 or 9-year-olds that were the bullies here.
8 or 9. It's over.
It was George. George was at a meeting, and his kind of nemesis was at the meeting, and they had like shrimp cocktail or something at the meeting, and George was eating a lot of the shrimp, and the guy kind of mocked him and said, "Hey, the ocean called. They're running out of shrimp," that kind of thing. And George got so flustered he didn't know how he didn't have a comeback. And it was one of those episodes where it's like you're in the car 30 minutes later, and then you think of the perfect comeback. And so the whole episode was him trying to recreate the scene and set the guy up so the guy will roast him again, and then he can come back with the line he came up with. The jerk store called, and they're running out of you. That's what he came up with. They're like, "Come on, man, that's terrible."
Awful.
Anyway, yeah, I've watched a lot of Seinfeld in my life. All right, there's a few more, but hey, we got to go to the real one. Evan Penn says, "Listen, as a person who works for Youth for Christ and substitute teaches, you got to joke with the kids trying to dunk on you." Yeah. Oh yeah, he said Derek and Cameron are correct. You got to joke back with them. He said a student asked me, "Do you get a lot of girls with that bag?" He had a messenger bag, to which he responded, "My man purse? Yeah, dude, shows ring. I got a wife." And then the kid laughed, and now he's his favorite substitute teacher. So you got to just
get in there.
Fall
just
on
go.
your sword, man. Fall on your sword.
Disagree.
Agree to disagree.
I was praying for
So
bears.
what did you do? What happened this week? Give us the update.
Have you played the Braves again?
Yeah, I played them again, and I stood there and took it. And I got in my car, and I cried, and I just dealt with it. Like I said, these kids are merciless, and they're There is no.
Okay, hold on. When you say you stood there and took it, what was your body language? Were you like clenching your teeth and trying not to give any visible response? Like, what were you doing? What was your demeanor?
Exactly. Standing there, looking stone face and acting like I had allergies. So
what do they call
my eyes
you?
were just
Coach,
sweaty.
first base guy? What are they yelling at you?
They were naming things I was wearing and mocking
Your green
them.
shoes. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Jesse, listen, I told you about the basketball games. When somebody's like getting mad, it's on, you double down. But when somebody's trying to not react, but I can see the twitch in their eye, or I can see the clenched jaw that they're doing their best to not react, I'm quadrupling down on that one because we will crack that person. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta smile. You just gotta be like, yeah, my messenger bag. I get girls.
I refuse. I was beyond that. It was they cut me too deep to just laugh it off. Okay. I'm going to have to report them to the league. That's the only solution here.
You're going to be a cop.
They've given me no choice, Derek.
But like, just be the chill dude. Like, be the Steph Curry. He doesn't care. He's just going to beat you. He's not, but he's going to do it with a smile on his face. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't get flustered. Draymond Green wants to come punch you, and that's why everybody eggs Draymond on. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they leave Steph alone.
It'd be one thing if I could walk in the pitcher's mound and whiz a couple fastballs by him, but I can't go and beat them. Okay?
That's true.
I'm just the first base coach.
Just trip them. That's what you do when just
or
trip
this is
them.
also what happens when they're running to first, and they get, grounder to second and they throws them out at first. You just whisper some smack talk. You let him take it back to the friends. Whisper the smack talk. You don't need to turn around and address the whole dugout. You just smack down on that one kid.
Dude. Like, let's say like that team's out there, they messed up. That kid messed up. He missed a grounder, whatever. Sides are changing. They're running back to their dugout. They're running by you. You just drop the quiet insult.
Yeah.
Like, great job there. Like 18. Like just whatever. Just a little snide, quiet. I'm mocking you. I'm not doing it so your parents can hear me. I'm not doing anything, Just got to plant the
where
dagger.
we're landing on this, the proper response is to whisper insults into children's ears. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
The quiet insult is the way to go.
Shut up, you ugly punk.
All right. There's more where that came from. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
Well, earlier in the show, we spent this turned into a CNET podcast, and we talked about tech for about an hour and a half. Sorry for that, Lysa TerKeurst. But it got us thinking about Twitter and like Jack Dorsey launching new platforms and all these things with algorithms and stuff. Basically, is this: if you were Elon Musk and you had $44 billion and you bought Twitter, what would you do? That's the question this week. What would you do to make Twitter better if you were Elon Musk? Hit us up on Twitter, ironically, at Relevant Podcast, unless he shuts our account down. And
oh my gosh, that would be the best. Not really the best, but that would be funny for the show.
Like if somebody reported this podcast and was like, hate speech about you, Elon, he would shut us down overnight. Oh, well. Well, in the case, maybe go to our Instagram stories and tell us there. And if not that, or we'll go to Blue Sky or Parler. We're not on Parler.
Or just pay the $8 for free speech.
For free speech.
Only $8 a month.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Lysa TerKeurst for joining us today. Her brand new book is called Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, and it is available today. Look how timely we are. It's out now. Go check it out. Also, make sure to head over to relevantmagazine.com to check out all the stuff we're covering every day at the intersection of faith, life, culture, and justice. Tons of great content. You should check it out. Make it part of your daily web browsing. Also, you might have noticed, if you follow us on Instagram, lots of new posts from us. We've shifted gears on IG, and buckle up. TikTok's next. So excited about the new stuff the team's creating. Hey, while you're at relevantmagazine.com, make sure to check out the fall digital issue of Relevant. It's featuring an incredible cover story with MIA about her faith conversion. We also have some amazing, we have a piece on adoption as kind of the new pro-life issue, how to grow in your faith, and navigating disordered eating. There's a lot of stuff, think pieces, celebrities, the whole thing. And it's available for free. You can check it out. Check out the issue for free. It's presented by He Gets Us, the fall digital issue. And if you don't want ads, you want to read it in a beautifully designed form, perfectly designed for tablets and desktop and more other devices, you should subscribe to Relevant Plus. Relevant Plus is our premium subscription program. It's a ad-free content experience on all of Relevant's platforms. So you get an ad-free version of this podcast, an exclusive subscriber podcast each week. You get the beautiful ad-free version of the magazine and unlimited reading and ad-free reading at relevantmagazine.com, and more to come. Check it out. Plans are as low as $250 a month, and you can find out all the information by clicking Relevant Plus there at relevantmagazine.com. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Jamie Ivey.
I'm Derek Miner.
We'll see you next week. Have a great one.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
There's always a flight suit and a cowboy hat stuffed in the back of the closet that you forgot was even there.
Relevant Podcast Network.